It's Disneyland News Update time. This is, of course, where we take a look at the latest trending headlines you need to know about the Disneyland Resort on the West Coast. Hello, everyone. It's Wade for the Kingdom Report, back with you one more time to cover all the latest Disney Parks news stories. Today, focused on the happiest place on Earth in Anaheim, California. Two major stories to get to. Number one, face masks are no longer required for fully vaccinated guests at Disneyland starting June 15th. That's right, starting Tuesday, fully vaccinated guests at Disneyland will no longer be required to wear face coverings indoors and outdoors, the resort announced Monday. This comes to us from ABC7 Eyewitness News. They say the announcement comes as California is set to fully reopen its economy on June 15th. Disneyland guests will also not be required to show proof of vaccination. Instead, visitors will self-attest that they are in compliance prior to entering. Guests ages 2 and up who are not fully vaccinated will be required to continue wearing face coverings indoors, except when dining. Quote, when the Toy Story parking lot reopens on June 18th, all guests, regardless of vaccination status, will need to wear an appropriate face covering while on the bus transportation from the lot to the parks, end quote, the theme park said in a written statement. Disneyland and California Adventure will also welcome out-of-state visitors beginning Tuesday, and the park will also discontinue its policy for on-site temperature checks. The theme park will also align with California in lifting its physical distancing requirement for businesses across the board. Physical distancing around markings and signage will be removed, allowing for guests to self-determine distancing. Disneyland said some experiences and entertainment will still remain temporarily unavailable. Big news coming out of the Disneyland Resort there, with masks going away on June the 15th. It's kind of incredible to think that we are already here. This is already happening, and all in anticipation of how the state of California has decided to toss back all the restrictions, roll back all of the mandates. We did not anticipate Disneyland throwing the face masks away this soon. In fact, we kind of anticipated it being more towards July, based on how the state of California has been handling the crisis over the last year. Certainly Disneyland has been playing the cat and mouse game, no pun intended, with the state of California and the governor. It has not been a good relationship. However, at the same time, it's been one of those situations where every time Disney took a few steps forward, they were required to take a few steps back in being pushed by the state of California. So we sort of anticipated that it would be closer to July where we would see these restrictions roll back in terms of how they mandated them in their theme parks. But the great news is we don't have to wait anymore. June the 15th is the day. Hey, before we continue, just want to remind you that all of the news updates, all of the latest breaking stories come your way via this channel. All you got to do to make sure that you don't miss anything is, click that subscribe button with that notification bell firmly pressed. That way you know anytime we've got something new for you, it comes right to your inbox. So make sure to go ahead, click that subscribe button and the notification bell. And if you haven't done so already, the thumbs up button is always appreciated. So what will the state of California look like to visitors returning on June 15th? People from out of state coming to the theme parks. Well, the Orange County Register's Brady McDonald writes the following, saying that visitors heading to California theme parks after pandemic restrictions end will face a myriad of conflicting coronavirus requirements that are expected to continue evolving as the major tourist destinations navigate the latest new normal. The full reopening of the California economy on Tuesday, June 15th, after a 15-month pandemic hibernation, will allow theme parks in the state to return to full capacity and end most COVID-19 health and safety measures. Unraveling the state's twisted web of coronavirus rules has left the theme parks grappling to find the right path forward as they deal with their most important issue, safety. Answers to questions about mask requirements, attendance capacity limits, advance reservations, physical distancing, ride restrictions, and vaccination verifications will vary depending on whether you are visiting Disneyland, Universal Studios Hollywood, or any of the other theme parks in the state. Expect the new ground rules at California theme parks to continue shifting up until June 15th and beyond as the state's businesses and customers adjust to a new landscape without COVID-19 restrictions. The best advice? Check the website before setting out for the park. The end of COVID-19 health and safety mandates in Governor Gavin Newsom's Blueprint for a Safer Economy on June 15th means California theme parks will no longer need to reduce attendance capacity, restrict ride capacity, limit ride lengths, use only outdoor queues, or maintain 6 feet distancing requirements. The state's new Beyond the Blueprint guidelines bring to an end restrictions that require California theme parks to limit attendance to 15% capacity in the red substantial Tier 2, 25% capacity in the orange moderate Tier 3, and 35% capacity in the yellow or minimal Tier 4 of the Blueprint for a Safer Economy. California theme parks can return to 100% capacity on June 15th. The state's public health department will no longer require fully vaccinated theme park visitors to wear masks starting on June 15th. And under the state's Beyond the Blueprint guidelines, California theme parks and other outdoor mega events are strongly recommended to verify that visitors have been fully vaccinated for coronavirus or received a recent negative COVID-19 test. Outdoor mega events should ask visitors who haven't been vaccinated to wear a mask, according to the guidelines. At Disneyland, they'll be making changes to health and safety processes based on guidance from state and local health officials, with an announcement that we just heard from ABC 7. Disneyland and Disney California Adventure plan to increase attendance capacity when state mandates end on June 15th, Disneyland Resort President Ken Potrock said in late April. Disney CEO Bob Chapek said during a tech conference in late May that he expects the company's U.S. theme parks to see low double-digit attendance increases over the next several months and reach full capacity by the fall. As of June 15th, Disneyland and California Adventure will no longer be required to limit park attendance and ride capacity, which will allow the parks to admit more visitors as part of a phased reopening approach. Disneyland and California Adventure are not expected to ramp up attendance to 100% capacity immediately, with more than 24 attractions still closed. Rehiring and retraining the employees necessary to operate those rides will also take some time. Disneyland restaurants can return to full capacity, but that is likely to take some time as well. More than 24 food and beverage locations at Disneyland and California Adventure remain shuttered and can't reopen until employees are rehired. Dropping physical distancing requirements and using indoor attraction queues again could help Disneyland clear crowded walkways overrun by snaking outdoor lines that have turned some areas of the park into absolute gridlock. Lifting the 15-minute time limit on indoor rides could also mean the end of skipping pre-show elements on the popular Rise of the Resistance ride in Star Wars Galaxy's Edge, which had to be adapted to a shorter running time under the state's COVID-19 guidelines. Advance online reservations for Disneyland and California Adventure are expected to stay in place through at least mid-October, and possibly longer based on the park's reservation availability calendar. The system allows Disney to make staffing, budgeting, marketing, and a myriad of other decisions based on anticipated attendance levels. Once again, our many thanks to Brady McDonald of the Orange County Register and ABC 7 for those stories. Well, my friends, it looks like we are just about back to normal. Things are returning at a rapid pace, back to that semblance of normalcy we knew before the pandemic shut life down as we knew it. And now it looks like you can ditch the face masks with the exception of a few steps, including transportation, as they had mentioned. But on top of that, are you looking forward to the fact that now there will not be nearly as much gridlock in the walkways that there has been over the last 2 months since Disneyland reopened? If you're an out-of-state visitor, you probably haven't seen it unless you've watched it online. But it is something that everybody has been pointing out. When you have to distance people 6 feet apart, well, unfortunately, that requires you to be outside and all throughout each individual land in front of those major attractions, so it certainly will be nice to see that go away, and we'll get to use the queue space that was allotted to us to begin with. On top of that, are you looking forward to returning to the happiest place on earth if you are an out-of-state visitor? I know we've asked this a lot, but now that the mask restriction is moving into the mist, I know that that is something a lot of people were waiting for before they planned their trip. So you tell us in the comment section, are you more likely to plan a trip back to Disneyland at this point, now that these restrictions have been removed and more continues to be scraped away day by day? you let us know. We'd love to hear from you. For the Kingdom Report, I'm Wade Heath. We will see you next time for another edition of Disneyland News Time.
To all who come to this happy place, welcome.